So, why are your broilers so big? And why do your broilers lay eggs? That's a question that I've seen in the comment section of my previous video. Well, for me to explain that, I would need to get inside the chicken house to just give you guys a proper feel. But I'll tell you something really brief from the outside here before I go in, so that I minimize the distraction to the birds. Starting out, I'll tell you that the broilers I do have in the background, this chicken house here has 10,000 broiler breeders. 10,000 in number. I have another one right behind me. I'll turn. Okay, that's another one with 10,000. And behind that is another with 10,000. And then also behind this is another with 10,000. So that takes the number of broiler breeders on this farm to 40,000. Really huge number. But like I've said, these are broiler breeders. These are not your normal broilers. You see, growing up, I always thought to myself, what happens if you raise a broiler for a long time? Will it lay eggs? What will happen to the eggs? And also I used to think, where do all the broilers come from? All the broiler chicks that are raised on farms, where do they come from? A machine? What happens? Come on, they come from a place like this. So this is what happens on a breeder farm. On a broiler breeder farm, you'll have loads of birds like this. Well, it doesn't matter whether they are just 250, 40,000 like me. You'll have broiler breeders and you'll have males and females. So for us here, I'm sure you can hear some birds crowing. I'll just keep quiet for a second. I'm sure you heard that. So there is males inside there and there is females inside there. Of course, broilers are animals just like everyone else, and in order to reproduce, you'll need males and females. They may not be obviously told when they are younger, but as they grow up, it becomes very obvious. So we have both males and females, and they come from two completely different lines. You don't want to mix them up. Despite the fact that they have almost the same colors, they are two completely different lines. And so you don't just get any random broiler and you're like, oh, this is actually a male, this is a female. You notice they are male and female and you try to cross them, and then you think you'll get good offspring. No, I've actually made a video about parent stock, trying to explain parent stock and breeding in chickens. I'll leave a link to that video right here. You go watch that video, you'll try to understand it in a bit of detail. But so what's happening is that these birds here have reached almost the point of production. They are giving us eggs. We have laying boxes inside the chicken houses. Let's get in and then I'll complete the explanation from the inside. You see this tall guy over here? The guy is male, and you can see the lady right here. The combs are quite different. Bigger comb, smaller comb. Smaller comb. Most of what I have around here are females. Then once in a while, you'll come across a really big one, a male. You can see one right there. I'll zoom in. Okay? That's a male right there, surrounded by females. So the males have bigger heads and bigger combs, and you can see it all around. Now, of course, the birds are all running towards me because they're imagining I have feed for them. These are the feeders that we use to feed them. So of course, the kinds of feeders we use to feed the breeders are quite different from the rest. You can see the litter. Good litter, really, really good litter. It's dry, it's not caked, it's beautiful. Yeah, so you won't find your average feeders inside a broiler house because they just won't serve. You can see that we do have laying boxes inside the broiler house, and these are for the ladies. This is where the ladies do come to lay their eggs, and I can see that we do have some lady inside the laying boxes. That's why I didn't want to enter the house, because I don't want to be a distraction to the birds. But if I move to some of the laying boxes, you'll notice that we do have ladies inside there. You see, we have ladies inside there, and it's very likely that they have gone there to lay eggs. Even over there, we do have ladies inside some of them. Okay, you can see the ladies seated inside there. So it's very likely that they have gone to lay eggs. We have a man over here with a very huge comb, and then we have females in the areas, and they are still growing, you know. Remember that they haven't reached the point where we can set the eggs. Very soon we shall be setting the eggs, but they haven't reached the point where we can be setting the eggs. So that means they are still growing and they are still young, but they are really, really big, as you might see. They are not your average broiler. They are very big. That guy over there might be maybe you know, 4-5 kilos. They get really big, really big. And that's because they are broilers. In broilers, it's quite complicated to raise them as broiler parents to the point of laying. I'll have to explain this. You see, for some reason, weight and laying eggs are inversely proportional. The bigger the weight, the less eggs you'll have. That's why layers are generally small birds. Layers there are breeds of birds which are between 1.4 to 1.6 kilos max. You know, it will be 1.5 kilos for almost all its life, but it's giving you an egg every day for over a year. Less than 2 kilos, you can imagine. It's a really small bird, really low weight. Broilers, on the contrary, can get to 4-5 kilos or even more, 6 kilos, 7 kilos if you keep them for a long time. Now, broiler breeders, of course, you're trying to keep them to the point of laying. And usually they start laying at about over 20 weeks. They're not like broilers. They're not like layers, which will start laying at 18 weeks. These ones will start laying at, 24 weeks, 23, sometimes even up to 25 weeks before they give you an egg. And by that time, they have really become big because they are broilers, they are broiler breeders, so they have a big appetite. So the biggest issue with broiler breeders is keeping the weight down. You really have to control the weight. Otherwise, if you just give them the food that they feel like they want, then they're going to explode and burst. And if you can't control your weight, then you won't have eggs. So raising them is quite complicated. You need to raise the males different from the females, because if the males become too big, they won't be able to mount the females. If the females become too big, they won't be able to lay eggs. You need to control their feed. Sometimes you even have to fast them. So you give them food today, tomorrow you don't give them food. You give them food the next day, then the other day you don't give them food. Then it's like alternate feeding. You understand? Just to control the weight. So raising them is quite complicated. Anyway, that was just a brief explanation. I hope you guys now understand the whole concept of breeder birds and why my birds lay eggs, why I have broilers that lay eggs, and why my broilers are very big. The broilers that you see on the market usually are 5 weeks, 4 weeks. That's less than 1.5 months, and they are almost at 2 kilos. So imagine what happens if you keep a broiler up to 5 months. Becomes dangerously big. You have to control the weight. Otherwise, just to let you guys know, we're going to be supplying the old broilers. And like I said, we're going to be giving the very best offers. Really good price. So if you're in Uganda, it doesn't matter where you're located. I leave numbers in the description below where you can just call and they'll direct you to your nearest shop, or you can actually order through the phone, and we'll find a way of making sure that they get to the closest place to you as possible. The prices are really good, and even more than that, the quality is impeccable. It's perfect. I mean, just take a look at the farm. Perfect. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, smash that notification bell. That way you never miss out on an upload. Lots of love. Bye.